I mentioned Clemson. They are killing folks, and they opened as a 2-point favorite against Ohio State, a.k.a. the best Ohio State team ever. They're number 3. It's arguably the most loaded playoff field we've ever had, and even thinking back to like the BCS era, I can't really think of like a top 4 that was that stacked since like 04. The 04 year, I just remember because we were 2, Oklahoma was 2, USC was 1, Auburn was 3. Auburn finished undefeated and then still finished 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember. I think Utah maybe was 4. Not important, but those 3 at the top are the most similar trio I can think of relative to LSU, Clemson, Ohio State. In 04, if we'd had a playoff, that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we didn't really have to worry about that. Thoughts? Somebody talk besides me.
No, I agree with you. I mean, this is the last time, like you said, we've had 3, I think, legitimate like leaders of their Power 5 conferences be undefeated at the end of the year. Clemson went into the season number 1 in the country, but they also had the Heisman favorite who didn't even go to New York. So it's like people are completely forgetting about this team.
Yeah.
A lot of it is because after, I think everyone was looking for Clemson to trip up once, and then once they did against UNC, they didn't obviously lose the game, but everyone after that kind of like wrote them off and said, oh, they're overrated, and then they don't play anybody the rest of the year, so no one pays attention.
So they can't prove they're properly rated.
Exactly. But they're still a dominant team on both sides of the ball. Like, I think, if anything, I think they actually favored in this game, but still no one's talking about them. I don't know.
Let's do it that way. Let's go team by team through. Just give a quick, basically what you just did, Michael, because it kind of reminds me of a year ago in the Heisman when it was Tua, Kyler, Dwayne Haskins. Any one of those 3 guys in their own year would have been historic.
Mm-hmm.
Heisman, a lot like this year, Heisman landslide, running away with it. But because it was the 3 of them, Kyler wins it. Tua is never going to win a Heisman Trophy now as a result of that. Dwayne Haskins had video game numbers last year. Nobody remembers that. This year with Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, I feel like any of those 3 teams in their own year would have been talked about like the 2002 Hurricanes.
Right.
But nobody thinks about it like that because we have the 3 of them together. And, with Clemson, obviously you kind of hit the nail on the head, but I think, 28-game win streak, they're killing everybody by 1,000 points right now.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence started off so slow that not only did people write off Clemson, they also were like, oh, I guess Trevor Lawrence is not that great.
Yeah, exactly.
Those people are idiots because, Trevor Lawrence is exactly the guy that we thought he was, and all that worrying that everybody did back in September is for naught. He's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my thoughts on Clemson. Bracky, what are your thoughts on Clemson?
I think they're very good, obviously. But I do think the 3 spot's deserving at the same time. We look and, they're killing everybody, but at this point they have no wins over teams that are currently ranked in the top 25. Their best win of the year is Texas A&M, who's 7-5. And that's not their fault. They didn't foresee Texas A&M going 7-5. They couldn't foresee their conference being this down. But I guess Virginia in the conference championship is a nice win, but it's 8-4, 9-4. But at the same time, you have to reward LSU, who has 3 top 15 wins, and Ohio State, who has the same. So I'm cool with it. LSU looks incredible. I know we worried about the defense a little bit there. They kind of fell asleep in the second half against Ole Miss. But they've responded well the past few weeks of the season and in the SEC championship game. Ohio State, a little shaky start in the Big Ten championship game, but rebounded nicely. But it definitely hurt them because they lost the 1 seed because of that. If they had gone out and smacked Wisconsin like LSU did to Georgia, they'd probably keep the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the shaky start and losing at halftime, that's what dropped them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know which one of those teams to really go to next. Ohio State in the Big Ten championship really surprised me because they had been so dominant prior to that point. But in that game, it was kind of an opportunity for Justin Fields to really be on some hero shit. Like, he was 40 touchdowns against 1 pick. The 1 pick was on a trick play, but he was still kind of flying under the radar because of what Burrow had done, because of how Jalen started the year. And that was an opportunity for him with a brace on his knee to bring Ohio State back. And they roared back. The second half for them was as impressive as any full game they put together all year long. But I agree with what you're saying about LSU. I mean, Joey Burrow's obviously the runaway Heisman Trophy winner, and rightfully so. Swagger for years.
It's unreal.
SEC single-season record for passing yards and touchdowns. He's also about to break Colt McCoy's completion percentage record, despite the fact that his yards per attempt are 2 full yards less than Colt. So Colt was doing not a lot of checking down, but, short to intermediate game, whereas Burrow is just taking shots.
That's the thing, man.
It's
They
incredible.
are airing it out.
And it doesn't matter. He's still completing damn near 80% of his throws.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you do with LSU. Thoughts on LSU? You know them as well as anybody, I would say.
Unfortunately so. Like, I mean, the first point this on Ohio State is I'm surprised also because it was clear this year how important the 1 seed is because of how you have the top 3.
Because of Clemson.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to play Clemson, and so I was shocked that Ohio State didn't come out and just. They knew that the gap between 1 and 2 was so small, and there was very small margin of error, and they still came out slow and fell behind on Wisconsin. So I was very surprised by that. Still think they're a great team. Obviously, I mean, who doesn't? Thoughts on LSU? I mean, you guys hit it. Like, there are no weaknesses in their offense. Everyone thinks that they're like a pass-happy spread team, but they also have an incredible running back as well that's over 1,000 yards. Mm-hmm. And the defense, even though people say they're so suspect, I feel like because their offense has scored so quickly and so many times in the first half, that defense is actually playing a lot of the game. And so by the second half, when the game is out of hand, the other team's gonna get their yards and get their points. And so it kind of hurt their statistics, I guess, as like a team.
That's a great point. I know Colby and I know that pretty well from the Big 12.
Yeah.
Our favorite team's defenses like to do that a lot. And also they're healthy now. Grant Delpit wasn't healthy for the majority of the season. Christian Fulton wasn't healthy. Kavion Chason wasn't healthy.
Yeah,
they're
that's a
healthy
great
now.
point.
Right.
Delpit being healthy, especially on that back end, really changes the complexion of that secondary because when he's not healthy, they don't look the same just because of what a disruptive player he is when he's right.
Mm-hmm. Right.